What's up, junkies? Welcome back in for another edition of Pigskin Junkies. Myself, Michael Larson, the big brother, Jared Larson, here to bring you week 2 of college football and our cards.
Woo!
Week 1 was great. College football was awesome. A lot of good games to sweat, Fantastic. I should say. And so Jared coming in, big wins for Auburn. Yeah, so I guess let me throw out our records and then we can talk about Auburn real quick. Jared going 2-3. I went 4-0, which
2-3. What
did I say?
3-3.
Sorry, 2-3.
I would love to take credit for that, but I can't.
And I went 4-0, cashing in on a nice solid parlay.
Boom.
Which Jared, that means
fade Micah.
Yep,
it is time to get on the fade train this week. Which I think I may already have one anti-selection, which maked me very happy based on that information. Yeah, I should have. I say should have. Whatever. I was 2-3. I had Northwestern. They were covering pretty much the whole game and gave up that defensive touchdown at the end. And I was trying to explain to my wife, obviously somebody that Micah knows, and she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Well, that was a winner for about 58 minutes and 10 seconds, and then it just became a loser at the end." So she's like, "So it's a loser?" I'm like, Yeah, it's a loser.
Yeah, doesn't matter how long you're winning at the end when the clock hits 0.
Yeah, so she's like, "Oh, were they like not trying or something?" Because they weren't showing the replay. They're like, we're sitting outside watching it because we're getting ready for the Hurricanes. We're like trying to spend some time outside, and I got a great setup outside and whatever. But she's like, "Oh, were they just not trying and they gave up a touchdown or something?" And I'm like, "No, it's way worse than that." Like the quarterback was sacked, fumbled. Northwestern had a chance to recover it in the end zone for a safety, which I still would have covered. And then it like classic squirts out from like the fat O lineman's mitts, and Stanford recovered it in the end zone for a loser. So that was the swing game for me. Couldn't have been more wrong on Georgia Southern. That was what 30. I think it was 35-3. Like early in the second quarter, I said this is over.
But I don't think you weren't the only one that thought that though.
Looked good.
Yeah, Burrow did look good. You're not the only one that thought that though.
Times.
Mm-hmm.
What?
No, I'm saying you're not the only one who thought that LSU was going to come out. I'd say that was probably out of everyone. That was one of the most popular picks I would bet in Vegas for college football last week was Georgia Southern covering against LSU.
Yeah, I had heard after the fact, like Stanford Steve was on them. I think SVP was on them. I'm pretty sure the Bear was on them. So it was, whatever. You have a thesis, you put your money on the line, and you lose, and it was never close, and that's why it's called gambling.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's not called receiving. Otherwise, like this is a game, people.
That's why it's called fishing, not catching.
Yeah, whatever. It's exactly. So you put it out there. The thesis I had was wrong. They got the doors blown off them because, newsflash, LSU is a way better team than Georgia Southern. And they were willing to put some stuff on tape, apparently. And Joe Burrow was dropping dimes.
Yeah. I think the message was sent loud and clear. And the thing is, too, is
go Tigers.
Exactly. He doesn't care. You got our Gus Malzahn, who's like, I'm just gonna play conservative. I don't want to show much because I got to keep all my trick plays up my sleeve. Orgeron's like, this is who we are. This is what we got.
We gonna get him.
Exactly.
We gonna get him. Go Tigers.
Yeah.
Did you see the halftime interview?
No.
Oh man, the like walking into the locker room thing. He's like, go Tigers.
He's a beautiful soul. I love him so much.
Oh, I want to bet them so bad this weekend. I can't. I hope they just blow the fucking doors off them.
The fact that Texas is wearing DBU shirts this week.
So, it's just disgusting. Just like, have some respect for yourself.
It's just, no pun intended. I guess it's a line.
DBU?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
They're behind LSU and Florida easily on that. And then even Bama.
4 defensive backs in the leagues by a factor of at least 3 to you in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind since they've, like, I'd even say 2 decades.
Yeah,
They got another one this year. Grant Delpit's a first rounder. Mm-hmm. Lock it in. First rounder. Done.
Talent. It's true. We'll save those for gun to your head at the end there. We won't jump too far ahead.
I'm too excited when I start talking about them.
If Jared were to ever go back to college, he'd go to LSU and he'd tell anyone.
People like ask me that. Seriously, that's my answer. They're like, "Where would you go if you could go again?" I said, "If I could go again, I would go to Auburn." And they're like, "All right, throw that out. Where would you go?" I said, "It's LSU, and it's really not close. It's one of the greatest places in the world."
I wish when we went there, it would have been a night game.
It was a day game. It was 6 million degrees, and we got our shit socked out of us.
We knew we were going to get clocked because we squeaked by Jacksonville State the week before, and we're like, oh, geez.
And it wasn't even they didn't even like tease us. It was Leonard Fournette popped that run.
Before I even sat in a chair.
Yeah, I mean, we had these like little Jack Daniels shooters, like a 375, and we're like, yeah, we'll kind of sip on this the whole game. He popped that run, and that whole thing was in the Coke with like 13:54 left in the first quarter. I'm like, all right, this is how this is going to go.
And just to paint a picture for everyone, at halftime, the stadium was empty because everyone was underneath the stands just hiding in the shade and recouping as much as they could because it was so dang hot. But yes, LSU, I think, looked good. So here's the question, and I told Jared in the future we're going to try and work on 2 truths and a lie. For those of you who don't know what that is, essentially...
Nobody knows what that means.
Well, there are young kids out there that aren't you old geezers. So essentially it was an icebreaker game. You say 2 truths about yourself and then 1 lie, and then the person has to figure out what it is. Essentially, what Jared and I are going to do is we're going to take that, spin it a little bit, and say from all of this... Well, the games and then reactions from, because there's going to be a lot of overreactions and underreactions. So, like, for me, what I would say this week is that I think a lie would be that Tennessee is absolutely
don't spoil
toilet.
it. If you're going to do it, then just do it.
No, I'm just giving an example because I didn't really give you enough time to think about this. But what I was going to say is Tennessee being done as a program or, like, being bad. I think it's still a good team. I just think this is a classic. I way overlooked a team, and then that was that.
They're not good. I mean, they stink.
I don't think they're worse than Georgia State.
Done as a program would need more clarification for me. You mean done as a program like they have, outside of Nebraska, the most maniacal, delusional fan base in the country. Like, you're not competing for titles anytime soon.
Right.
Like, hey, try and win your division, and then maybe you can like sniff it.
Right. Well,
but they're not even close to anything right now. But haven't been.
Well, that's what I'm saying is everyone's trying to throw in the towel that this team, they need to just blow it up. It's like it's one game. I mean, remember, this was a team that wasn't good last year and went into Jordan-Hare Stadium and was up like 14-0 in 2 drives.
Well, yeah, but the whole blowing it up thing is why you're in these shoes in the first place.
Right.
Because you have no patience and you just continually implode your own program and start – it's like the train takes a little time to start chugging, but if you keep blowing it up, you got to restart over and over. I mean, hiring Butch Jones was a complete shortcoming of the whatever administration was in place at the time. But, before and after him, like, hey, man, you got to give these guys a little bit of time to – 1, get their guys in, 2, establish their system, but then they're in the East, so there's really no excuse for not being semi-successful. I mean, they should be winning somewhere between 7 and 10 games a year on a regular basis, and they are not doing that.
Another crazy. So Bentley's out. Jacob Bentley now out for the year.
I heard that. Apparently, a couple of guys that I work with are South Carolina fans, and they're quite excited about it. I'm like, be careful. I've never heard that end well.
No.
Where they're like, oh, yeah, get the freshman in there.
Yeah.
And everyone's all excited, and then 2 weeks later, you can't move the ball, and you're like, oh, shit. Can Bentley come back? No, he can't. He's hurt.
Well, you had Dylan Gabriel, or excuse me, that's UCF. The Sam Howell for North Carolina came back in the second half. It was the weekend of freshman quarterbacks in the second half redemption story. We had Hank Backmeyer, Sam Howell, and then Bo Nix all leading second half comebacks. Yeah.
Bo Nix didn't have that great of a game, but
still 2 touchdowns.
Played really well when it mattered.
Yeah.
And people will remember that.
Mm-hmm. Ain't how you start, it's how you finish. So.
Ain't how you start, how you finish.
Jared.
1-0, baby.
Yep. We'll dive into. I guess we'll get into our picks here. So we're like the 10-minute mark now, so they're getting antsy. It's time for winners.
We want the checks. I mean, I didn't give out any winners last week. Hopefully they tailed you.
Yeah.
Maybe even put that parlay in. That would have paid for my losers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm starting to sweat a little bit because as I was writing it down, I was like, "Ooh, I'm putting a lot of negative signs out there." It's not when the minus sign follows my numbers. That's usually when I start to sweat a little bit. But I'll go first since I had the better record last week. But I got UCF minus 10.5 against Florida Atlantic. We all saw how absolutely horrible that offense or that defense was against the Buckeyes. Wimbush had a great game, but this Dylan Gabriel kid can sling the rock too. I think the Knights, they're going to start with Wimbush. He's going to put up all these points, and then they're going to put in this Gabriel kid, and it's not like it's exactly a step back, and they're just going to keep putting on the points.
Other side.
Oh, yuck.
I'm taking the Lane train.
No.
Sleepy spot here for the Knights. They got to go down to beautiful Boca, down I-95. They got Stanford coming to the bounce house next week. Big look-ahead spot for the Golden Knights in a premier game, the first in their program's history that actually counts for something.
They played Texas not too long ago.
That was fake news. That was a long time ago. That was before all these fake national championships.
All these won fake national championships.
They're actually good. This means, they got the shit pushed in.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll take FAU. Give me the points after getting just smoked in the face by Justin Fields, like 28-0 or whatever that was. FAU actually bounced back and covered that game. So a resilient squad from the Lane train, and I was quite impressed. I'll take the 10.5 at home in beautiful Boca next to the airport with the Owls. Hooty-hoo! Plus 10.5.
The Lane train. Vomit. Next. I talked about him a little bit. Sam Howell had a great game for the North Carolina, I almost said Rams, but Tar Heels. Yeesh. And we're talking football here, folks. I just want to reiterate.
Carolina, oh yeah, like Panthers, Rams.
If you didn't watch Mac Brown dance in the locker room afterwards, that is exactly why I am not picking North Carolina to cover the spread. The U -5. I think Williams showed really good promise as a quarterback, and I think they're going to have this past week of watching film. This team's going to come out hungry because they really, played awful against Florida defensively. I've never seen worse tackling in my life. I pray to God that these guys have been in pads for a week and done nothing but open field tackling because that was disgusting. So I got Miami -5.
Deplorable. Yeah, I actually like Miami this week. They did not make the card for me, but I will agree with you. So play number one for me, actually because I suspect something from Micah a little bit later, will be Colorado plus 4.5. I watched every snap of that Nebraska game last week. Extremely unimpressed. Mm-hmm. They scored a defensive touchdown, I believe 2 special teams touchdowns. Couldn't move the ball at home against South Alabama. Now they got to go on the road in Boulder. I like the Buffs' ability to score here. I think candidly at home, Nebraska. Let me rephrase that. Nebraska should not be laying points in Boulder. I don't necessarily disagree that I think they could win. However, if you're going to give me 4.5 points, there's just a lot of scenarios where Colorado loses and still covers the number. So I'll take the points here with the Buffs. Can't wait to see the home-away fan breakdown a la Georgia Vandy from this past weekend. I think it's going to be a lot of red, not a lot of black. Mm-hmm. Ironically, they're the same colors. But give me Colorado plus 4.5.
I will not be going back to my roommate back in Boulder, nor will I be voting on the Cornhuskers because I am not watching or betting on this game. Nebraska was very disappointing this past week, and if it was 1995, I would love to watch this matchup. But there are other matchups this week that are real life 2019.
No, there's
powers.
No, there's not. Don't. But this is the only good game at that time slot.
Oh, is it? Okay. I don't know what time this game's being played at.
Not a whole lot going on this week.
I got a wedding, okay? So it's not like I'm going to be watching much football anyway.
Well, even better. Just put it in. Check the scores later.
Yeah.
Check the score. Jam it in, and then one eye at ESPN.com, laying in bed.
Yeah. Laying in bed.
Wake
up.
Yes. 47 minus for his... it's a winner.
Yeah. Come on.
Well, four it wouldn't be that way, but one of my picks later is actually most of my picks from here on out are numbers where it's like, what is that math again?
Yeah. Yeah, bust out the calculator. Minus
I think that's a winner. Oh, shit, I didn't carry the one loser.
The half. No! Next, I'm going back to the well. And, Jared, what color is inside of a well? Or I guess what's inside
blue.
Of a well? Yep. Blue.
Water.
Uh-huh. So where am I going here? If I'm going back to the well and we're talking about the color blue. Ooh,
Boise?
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Boom. We're going to the Smurf Turf. Boise State taking on Marshall. I'm going back to the well. Hank Backmeyer. His brother Buck, Tiger, and Bear going to be in the house, hopefully, because that's awesome. I love those names.
Name that?
Yeah, those are his brother's names. Buck, Tiger.
How did he get Hank?
I don't know. I guess he was the oldest, and then they're like, hey, well,
Yeah.
we'll take a shot here.
Dude.
So this is actually, oh, shoot, I just realized I'm misleading the shareholders.
Friday.
Yeah, so this is a Friday night. But whatever, you guys can get on the train.
It's going on tomorrow. It's going on tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They'll hear it in time.
Yeah.
On ESPN 2. So, I got Boise State minus 12 against the Thundering Herd.
All right, New Mexico State plus 56. Purely on premise. This is a bet that Saban calls the dogs off, and that New Mexico State maybe scores somewhere between 3 and 10 points. I don't really know what else to say. I was actually very impressed by Duke and, more importantly, David Cutcliffe last week and his ability to coach like wing T. I'm like, man, this guy really knows he knows how to attack weaknesses. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate that he has ineptitude of talent at Duke, and there's only so much that he can do. But when you talk about coaching ability, it's quite impressive what he's able to do. And I tell you what, man. Let me tell you what, man. You watch the you watch the Bama offense with Judy and Tua spinning it. Like, they are going to hang some points on people this year. But I just, again, purely out of premise, 56 points. I mean, what that means is they need to win by more than 8 touchdowns. I want everyone to put that through their head for like 4 seconds. That assumes that New Mexico does not score at all, and Bama scores 2 touchdowns a quarter. So give me the 56. Give me New Mexico State. Eat shit, Bama.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of those spreads you read, and you're like, there is no way that like, that's just insane. That line should never exist in any level of play.
Well, and it's hard to quantify, because if I think, if you say, okay, we're going to get first quarter effort from the Bama starters for 4 quarters and the first quarter effort from New Mexico State for 4 quarters, then yeah, I think Bama covers this number. But there's so many other dynamics that go into them needing to win this game, whatever, that it's just I think you're going to see the proverbial air taken out of the ball in the second half.
Yeah, it's true. Next for me, I got the Cadets plus 22 against the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan's replacing pretty much their entire defensive line and this is a triple option. Now, I know what everyone's saying, and I'm sure it's helping with the line because they only squeaked by Rice 14-7. Now, when you have multiple weeks, the only times you want to play a triple option is the first game of the season or a bowl game because you have a plethora of time to practice against the triple option. Michigan, coming off of a game last week, I just think Army's good enough to maintain possession of the football long enough, and Michigan's not a team that's going to have all these explosive plays. And you know how Harbaugh is in his dumb khakis.
Khakis.
So I just think this is a game that, yes, Army loses, but I think they keep it close.
Disagree. Other side. I think they've been preparing for this all offseason. They had Middle Tennessee at home last week, which is a box check game. So I think at a minimum they've been practicing this during the offseason and parts of last week. And then in addition to that have had I think Army gets a lot of credit for the way that they played at Oklahoma last year, keeping that game close, taking the air out of the ball, going to overtime, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I was quite unimpressed by the way that they played Rice last week. It's hard. I'm trying not to overreact to last week, but this Rice team is just not good. I really don't know how else to say it. So give me Michigan, give me the minus 22. I'll lay the lumber. This team's pretty good, so I could see something in the mid-30s. Michigan keeping them down to next to nothing on the defensive side of the ball. I do like the angle that you mentioned, though, Micah, with the completely replaced line and triple option. I think they'll be prepared because I think they've been doing it longer than just this week.
It's fair. Now, here's a stat that will throw you through a loop. Who's got the second longest winning streak in college football right now? So number one's Clemson. Number two,
Michigan.
Army, 10-game winning streak.
Oh, jeez.
Last game they lost was when they lost 28-21 to Oklahoma last year.
I was going to say, I knew Clemson was one, but wow.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have guessed that.
No, I don't think a lot of people would. That's why I had to share it because it was shocking. So you want to give your one here since you've given head-to-head on me, and I think you might have one more.
I do have one more. Tulane plus 17. I'm betting against my Auburn Tigers here. I really like this Tulane team. I think they looked great last week. I think the Auburn hype train is, look, it's not going to surprise anyone on this that listens to this podcast. I watched every snap of the Auburn game. We were dominated in the first quarter, played really well in the third quarter, and I think, pulled the rabbit out of our hat on that final drive in the fourth. So, defense finally cranked it up, started to look like what we expected them to look like in the second half. But I'm curious to see. I don't think we're going to score more than 30 points this game. And I expect Tulane to get a couple of scores, which means 17 points. You start backing into it, and I would expect them to cover the number. I'd also be very interested in the total, probably lean towards the under here. But I like Tulane, and I lean towards the under in the Auburn game.
Lean with it.
Rock with it.
Yeah. We are, speaking of late night fun, leading right into the Sunday scaries.
Hawaii?
We are going to the island.
Oof. Going deep.
We got Hawaii
We are
minus
going deep.
7 against Oregon State Beavers. Oregon State got their teeth kicked in, and the island stays undefeated, ladies and gentlemen. The island stays undefeated.
Scored some points.
They did.
Oregon State scored.
They were up 10-7.
They got it up and down.
They were up 10-7.
I was surprised they got it up and down on Oklahoma. It's the Big 12, so I guess everyone scores. But, what did they score, 35, 38, something like that?
Yeah.
All
I'm saying is Hawaii's got
Hawaii.
no one travels to the island. It's just it stays undefeated. That's bottom line. That's the only thing I'm going to say.
We're going to post late-night Haka videos.
Mm-hmm. Did you see New Zealand did the Haka versus our men's basketball team, which is a sham? But whatever.
Yeah, and then we blew the doors off them by 90.
That's what we do every time, though.
That's why, it doesn't, I don't know. That stuff to me is
the rugby team is terrifying.
Yeah, like, dude, if you're about to get your shit pushed in by 50, like, don't do the haka. If you're doing like rugby, where one, it's an extremely physical sport, but two, you have a realistic chance of winning, then yeah, do it.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a fun week. So we'll go gun to our head, because obviously, and I gotta pull the numbers up. Unless you're able, I'll pull them up while we do it, Jared. But
I got them.
You got them, okay. So we got first. We hinted at it earlier. We're gonna talk Texas, and we're gonna talk LSU. What's the line, Jay?
Are we going in time? Are we going time? Let's go time sequence, because I don't want to spend more time on LSU. A&M Clemson 17.5.
I was really close to this one, and I would have bet A&M earlier in the week until Schmuckface, I don't even know his name, guaranteed an upset. And he didn't even call it upset. He just guaranteed a win in Death Valley of the ACC. And
what a mush.
When he said that, I was like, Dabo's going to smack that everywhere.
Dabo!
And these boys, everyone's going to bring their own guts. And yes, everyone,
lots of guts.
Jared knows, just a
tonight.
quick little thing. Jared and I know, and Jared is the one that tweeted, I'm going to throw you under the bus on that, about the storming the field thing. The bottom line is, it's stupid. It takes away the joy of actually storming the field when you actually do something cool.
What did this asshole say to me? They do it every game?
Yeah.
Why? Why do you do it every game?
So they can shake hands with each other, I guess, and sing Kumbaya.
The students?
It's an ACC thing. It just means more. See what I did
grow
there?
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what the hell? That is so dumb. I was watching that. I'm like, you just won the national championship. You beat the piss out of Alabama, and then you beat Georgia Tech at home. And you're getting on the field? Like, what is wrong with you?
The rambling wreck, baby.
Yeah, I just don't. It makes. I don't know. I think it's dumb. We do a thing at the end of the game too, but the people just stay in the stands where they belong, and the players are on the field where they belong.
Players don't even stay around for the alma mater. They're just like, peace, we're out. But
yeah,
I would,
fine. They have that right. They can do whatever
honestly,
they want.
In this one, I think they're gonna. I think Clemson, they know this is a chance to send a message. The place is going to be absolutely bonkers. Everyone's going to be screaming. And I just think Trevor Lawrence puts on a show. The guy's a freak.
I agree. I like Clemson. I think this number will get people to bet A&M, but I think significantly outclassed talent-wise at home. Retribution for last year, really the only game that was contested that they played in. And if Brad wasn't in a pennant race, maybe we'd have him on to drop a few intangies on us and let us know who he thinks is going to win. But yeah, it's gonna be rocking in there, and I know I'll be tuned in. Should be good, and I see a 3-touchdown Clemson victory.
The only thing that freaks me out, I should say, is the Clemson defense. I don't think is as good as it was last year. Especially, and I think everyone would say that, and especially across the front line of the defense.
Yeah, they have 3 first-round draft picks?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it's not going to be as good as last year.
No. But so that's where I get a little scared, but at the end of the day, I think it's all right.
Yeah, I just don't. If you want to get like kinky with it, I would play Clemson in the first half, and then I really respect Jimbo in the second half. I would play them in the second half because I think you get a better number. I think Clemson comes out early and like sticks it on them, and then A&M kind of claws back because I don't think A&M's going to back down. I think they're going to just balls to the wall, bring it from the jump. I don't think this is going to be, hey, we're going to try and like knock it down till the third quarter and then play something for 25 minutes. It's going to be to the wall for the whole game. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you, Clemson. So LSU, Texas. This one opened at I think 3.5 actually, and is now all the way up to 6.5. Which just makes me want to actually puke because nobody well, I'm sure there's other people, but not a lot of people love the LSU Tigers more than me and Coach O. But I am allergic to laying 6.5 points on the road like this. I just can't. I can't do it. Can't get there. So if this segment is called Gun to Your Head, get me to Texas. It's just I'm not happy about it, and I hope LSU just beats the brakes off them. But I can't, in good conscience, sit here and lay that type of number on the road.
I have a very big, strong belief in this LSU team, and I think they cover. This team is, what you see is what you get with them. They have finally what they've had they haven't had in a long time when we've talked about it, but the ability to fly around now in belief that they have a quarterback that can win them a football game. I feel like for all these years, they've had a defense that's just had to sweat, drip, and be like, look, if we give up more than 10 points, we are going to lose. And this is not the case anymore, so they can take more risks. They can fly around the field. It's going to be really fun to watch them because I think they're juiced for this game. And I still don't understand why Texas gave them fuel for the fire. Loves that stuff. The defense is going to freak out because they're like, oh, you think we're DBU? Ellinger's going to look like absolute hot, stinky crap.
He's going to get, just pounded.
Yeah, I think it's going to be ugly. Honestly, I just think LSU's. It's going to show. I hate saying this, but the SEC definitely the bottom tier.
Oh, he's going SEC bias move here.
I am. The lower tier of the SEC definitely showed its belly in week 1, and I think this week it's going to be a little bit of conference pride on the line for LSU.
Tigers.
Yeah. And A&M, I don't think they've been in the SEC long enough to really carry that crest for me to, even if they won the game, I wouldn't be like, ooh, SEC. I'd just be like, yeah, whatever. It's Texas A&M. So.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard I feel like not my shtick, but like my mantra is home environment lit up. Like it's gonna be bumping in there. Mm-hmm. My boy Matty McConaughey is gonna be sipping wild turkey and cranking the boys up. So that's
driving his Lincoln to the stadium.
Driving his Lincoln. Dude, I tell people the best brand ambassador in the world. Because when I look at him, I want to drink wild turkey and I want to drive Lincolns. That's what you're paid to sell whatever it is you're schlepping, and that's exactly what I want to buy when I look at you. So you are the greatest brand ambassador in the world. I just think they're outmatched. I think they get a lot of credit. As they should. They're getting a lot of credit for the home game. They're getting a lot of credit for this Tom Herman as an underdog thing.
That was hardcore played last year.
And am I interested in LSU at 3 or 3.5? Yeah. Am I interested in them at 6.5? Probably not. Again, just as a matter of principle. Now, do I hope that they win by 1 million because I love it and when they are just running, no one's better than them? Yeah, but I can't on principle.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. So those are our picks. I guess I'll recap mine really quick, Jared, and then you can do yours. I got UCF minus 10.5, Miami minus 5, Hawaii minus 7. Ugh. Saying all these minuses makes me want to throw up. Boise State minus 12. Remember, that's Friday night.
A lot of lumber.
But then I make up for a lot of points real quick by picking Army plus 22.
Michigan minus 22, Colorado plus 4.5, New Mexico State plus 56. FAU plus 10.5, Tulane, Green Wave plus 17.5. Those are the 5 games. Winners.
That'll be the best money Jared ever lost when Tulane doesn't cover.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could say it's like a happiness hedge. I just, like I said, I've seen this too many times from Auburn. Second week home game against a above average Power 5 or Group of 5 team. I've seen this. I've seen this play before. I know how the movie ends.
Yeah,
and it's a tight Auburn win. It's a 7 or a 10-point win.
I hope it's more. A part of me thinks.
So of course I hope it's more, but
I know. I have part of me when I look at
head,
it,
not my heart.
I think we're going to see a lot of Bo Nix on the ground this game. I think we're going to see a lot of read option, and that's going to be what I'm most excited for. But yeah, it's going to be a fun week. Obviously, we got those 2 big games. It's slowly starting to pick up. Once we hit SEC play or once we hit conference play for everyone, then it's going to be.
Yeah, it's not like NFL where it's just like straight out of the box.
Yeah, like tonight. Absolute barn burner.
What the hell is she wearing?
Pack out here, was it? So yeah, Jared and I it's picking up just a halftime 7-3. That Bears D line looks like.
Looks good.
Looks like they're pretty good.
Defense looks good. But at the same time, Packers starters didn't play any snaps in preseason, so they need a little extra time to loosen up, and it seems as though they've done so.
Jared, what's your
scorched earth tour? Yep, I already put them in.
Yep, that's right.
We're good.
We're good. We're golden. Nice one, LaFleur. So, for myself, Michael Larson, the big brother, Jared Larson. We are out of here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, please rate, review, subscribe if you hung in all the way this far. We appreciate it. We want to hear what your college picks are. And then make sure we got the NFL picks coming out tomorrow. It's going to be a weird inception because remember, we recorded that on Wednesday. So it's going to sound real funky.
Mike's brain is all twisted up.
I got cross wiring my left brain and my right brain mushing, and yeah, it's real great. So thanks so much for tuning in. We're out of here.
See ya.